just south of the northern border of El Salvador. And what you can see really of the elections, that it was held on a Sunday. So it wasn't just a solitary event, it was more of a family event. Everyone went out, and all of those who could vote went to the polls. And so you can see the plaza was full, and all the stores had closed, and it was just a lot of just regular family vendors bringing food for everyone. And so these are pictures in the plaza. Like I said, it was a big family event.
I'm sorry, I'm too big.
I did not see, it wasn't. There was a police presence. With the police, though, that they weren't allowed to, when you wanted to vote, you couldn't have your gun at the polling place. But there was no police, there was army, so as a regular voter, I would have felt intimidated by this. They weren't just regular guns, they were like huge guns, but they weren't allowed to bring in the polling place, so they were safe. They weren't going to shoot, but it was just for security purposes. That's me voting, watching them vote. Like I said, we were standing all day, and we had a break for lunch, and our lunch was provided by families, and at that time you were able, you could converse with the family, and everyone there was really grateful that we were there, that they were hoping, they kept telling us, please just ensure that the elections go right, that something happens, that this is our chance for change, and if this doesn't happen now, we might have to wait another 20 years. So a lot of hope was put on the election observers, but there's a lot of hatred, saying it's like the white man's burden, that just because you're American, what gives you the right to be here to serve our election. So we received both kinds of responses. This is again a Dewey, and this is in the process of taking everything down. And they counted, and it was kind of funny when they were counting, because they would go one for FMLN, one for Arena, and then the Arena person would say, oh look, one more vote for communism, and then the other guy said, oh look, one more vote for rich elite people. So they were kind of bantering with each other, but it was in good fun. There was, where I had observed, it wasn't, there wasn't any problems. It was a clean election, and everyone was there to support their candidate. And like Karina had said, you could see the difference between the parties. The volunteers were there all day, so they were given food, and when Arena, their volunteers came, they all had huge meals from El Pollo Campero. Like, they just had a lot of, they had a full meal of chicken and biscuits and everything. FMLN supporters came through, and they get homemade pupusas. And I was like, well, which one's better? But you can tell Arena had the money to buy all that chicken for them. And the pupusas were just volunteer works made by the people, handmade, donated to them. So, let's see. And these are just boxes, and you're not supposed to take stuff, but you did.
You managed to take a bad box.
So this is them voting. Unfortunately, I didn't get on the tape where he said one vote for communism, but yeah, so this is their voting process. To count each one hand counted, and they recount. So they wanted to ensure that this time the elections went right. This is me and another election observer. And we watched the election results on TV. We were out in the countryside, but as soon as Funes came on and said, it was basically, he was at 90% sure that he was going to win. You can hear the crowd just rushes of red going down the streets. Everyone's like, si se puede, but now it was like, or whatever, how you say it in Spanish, we did it. Sorry, my Spanish is bad. There were fireworks going on, people partying in the streets, honking horns. There is just no words to describe the feeling, the atmosphere of hope amongst the people. And even in the countryside where the FMLN support was a little bit Arena, they definitely outshouted the Arena party. So feelings, you can feel it in the air of how much hope these people had because they knew that they would be able to change. And these are just more people. Arena knew they were losing, and so they went home early. But everyone stayed and partied in the streets until midnight, and you can hear them all the way till 1 o'clock in the morning. So, and then shouting and partying in the streets. So, this is the newspaper the next day, and I swear by 11 o'clock, all newspapers everywhere were sold out. We were able to grab maybe 1 or 2 copies. All the newspapers were sold out. We couldn't even take anything home.
So this is a video from his speech. I know you can hear, but his message where I was, I mean, there was, I don't know whose house had it, but there were loudspeakers that I could hear from where I was. Definitely people partying out. But his main message was, you know, like people voted for change. I mean, you can hear Barack Obama when he was talking, mainly coming from, you know, in 2008 having such a great election with Obama as a winner, and then going and seeing Funes again, you know, breaking the chain of 20 years of rule of Arena. I mean, you can really tell in his speech that he was overwhelmed by people's support, but definitely the message of hope was there in his speech.
So you're more of the papers you gave to just
We were able to take at least some newspapers that day, but definitely the newspapers
sold
were
out.
sold out.
And,
If anyone else has questions for anybody else?
I noticed in the presentation you referred to a DUI card. What was that?
That's yeah, it's like it's not really if you translate it to English. It's like a DUI card. In Mexico they call it a credencial electoral, and it's a way to identify the voter, like we wanted to do here as far as like presenting identification before they voted. That's what they have there. Mainly, they started doing that because of the fear of fraud. There was both fear in Arena and FMLN, but there's a lot of fear in FMLN voters that Arena was going to steal this election. So definitely the Tribunal Electoral decided to implement the DUI card for voters, mainly because of that fear of fraud. So that way people can be identified by their address, where they can vote in precincts, so it could be official. Because once the voter presented the DUI card, they had to leave the DUI card with the president, the volunteer that day, go vote, come back, provide their signature. If they couldn't write, they had to provide their thumbprint. They get the DUI card back, and that's a whole voting process. So it was tedious, but it was amazing to see the volunteers, that are just volunteers for that day, to really go through that process and keep it fair for both people that were involved.
Has the FMLN instituted any policies that they were promoting in the election, like when he was running, has he implemented any changes?
I've been trying to like really see what kind of, I know he wanted to institute some kind of program for young people to go and find jobs, because that's one of the main things that in Salvador they were trying to get. There's a lot of young people that come out of the UCA or the university that don't have a job. You know, they have a degree but no job. And I'm not sure, I mean, right now with the floods, I think that's like their main point of people like getting the, because with the floods, mainly the poor people are being affected. But even you can see Arena really working hand in hand with FMLN to implement some kind of change. Like I said, even the main commemorating the martyrs, the priests that were assassinated, for Funes as a president, as leader of this country, to commemorate and say that, you know, the death of these people, like the death of the priests cannot be forgotten. That alone signifies a lot of change, because Arena never did that. You know, you never saw Saka say that, Antonio Saka, the vice president. There was never any commemoration outside of the rural communities for these priests and the people that were killed in the 80s. So